The Graphic Histories Podcast.
I got bit by a radioactive bug. I tried an experimental drug. Went up for a stroll on a gamma testing range. I found an enchanted hurricane. I made a serum that made me small. I modified the serum so it would make me tall. Radioactive isotope in my eyes. Dying alien helped me accessorize. I gained the proportion and strength of a spider. Now I'm invincible and I can fly. I lost my sight, my other senses were heightened. I'm gonna put on my pajamas and go fight crime.
Hey there, welcome to the Graphic Histories Podcast. My name is Andre Mayette, your podcast host. Big thanks to Uka the Mock for our theme song, Superpowers. And big thanks to you, gentle listener, for tuning in once again to another action-packed, fun-filled, riveting, explosive, ball-blasting show. Today we talk with Don Walker, very cool comic artist who's returned to comics after getting into them at a younger age and going to the film industry and then going on to other things. Great conversation, goes into some fun places. We do bag on Star Wars a little bit. I don't say bag on because we certainly both love it, as you can tell through the conversation, but we do talk at length about it, and I know I have gotten to those conversations with guests in the past. It seems to always kind of gravitate towards that, usually regarding fandom and stuff like that. So, but Don has some interesting stuff to bring to the topic, the subject, how it affected him and his sort of take on it. So I think it's important not to go, I don't want to tread the same ground too much, but every person's opinion of those subjects is unique, and sometimes it says a lot about them as a character, as a creator, as a person, which is kind of what the show is all about. So we get into that and we talk about it, and it's a great conversation. It's a bit longer than our usual conversation, so I'm not going to give you a big long intro. I'm just going to say I hope you enjoyed this episode, and here it is, my conversation with Don Walker.
All right.
Yeah, you get tech support there.
Can you hear me now?
I
Yeah.
can.
My wife.
Excellent. It's good to have good tech support on hand.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Oh, nice shot of the action figures. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's my wife's wall of ladies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she has. That's her like crafting cabinet, and she has it enveloped with female action figures.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
We both collect female action figures, but yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a novel way to adorn your cabinet like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show, Don. It's great to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Good to be
Awesome.
here.
Where are you calling in from?
I am in Gardena, California.
Ah, okay. Whenever someone says it's a Pacific time, I always I'm trying to gather what side down the coast they are, because I'm in Nova Scotia, Canada, so I'm on the other coast.
Oh wow, okay.
But I just talked to someone recently that also is Pacific time, but they're in Vancouver, British Columbia. So they're on the same coast, just way, way further up. So
Wait for
California, gorgeous. What's it like there now? Just insanely hot, I'd imagine.
No, actually, it's actually it's warm. We haven't gotten to the summer months yet, really, so it's really warm with a little breeze. It's actually great weather. So I am in LA County, Los Angeles County.
Oh yeah.
So we're probably 5 miles from the water.
Oh,
So we get the nice sea air smell, the coastal breeze coming through. It's really quite nice. So
beautiful. Yeah, LA looks like a fun spot.
yeah, it doesn't get terribly hot, so it's good.
I've been watching that John Mulaney Netflix show, the Everybody's Live, that used to be Everybody's in LA.
Yeah,
Where he would just I've been watching that while I do cardio at the gym, and it paints an interesting picture of LA. I've always wanted to visit. I'm a big movie person, so it seems like the mecca of where you'd want to go to of checking all that stuff out. So someday hopefully I'll get down.
I moved to LA to go to film school, so yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I used to live in the desert. It was called the High Desert, which is Victorville, which is probably an hour and a half east of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Where it gets really hot out there.
I would
hot
imagine.
And it's dry. And then I moved to LA for film school in '99. So yeah, LA's a unique spot. I mean, it's amazingly culturally diverse. I think LA gets a bad rap. I think LA is actually an awesome place to live. If you can get along with folks, LA is a great place to live. You'll meet everybody from everywhere in Los Angeles. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I went to the film program at Los Angeles City College.
Hmm.
Great film program, even back then. It's even better now, but back then it was awesome. And I met people from every corner of the planet at a junior college,
Mm.
like Tunisia, Peru, uh, Canada, Europe, Thailand, China, Japan, Korea. Oh gosh, so many places. And I'm like, at a junior college like USC, UCLA, I would imagine no problem.
Yeah.
But no, my school was a great school, and I met all these people in the film program
Yeah.
of a junior college, and they come from all over the planet to LA for a junior college film program. So that's pretty cool. And I moved from a much smaller city or town, really, in Richardville, California, which was what they call a bedroom community.
Hmm.
Like it's small, insular, and you leave that city to go do fun stuff. I come to LA and meet all these people from the globe. And my
Wow.
parents from Los Angeles, so I'm not unfamiliar with Los Angeles. I had never lived there,
Hmm.
but when I moved there, it was fantastic. It was like best 3 years of my life. I met my now wife while I was living in Los Angeles. She lived in Gardena where I live now. So I met her through the internet, and we started dating, and we've been married for 20 plus years.
Wow.
I have a kid who's almost 18.
Wow.
So
Am-
yeah.
Amazing. Well, what brought your parents out to where you? What was the area that you grew up in?
So my father was in the military,
Ah, okay.
United States Marine Corps. So we grew up kind of all over the place. Oh my God, now what? This computer's completely tripping today. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Yep. All good.
Oh, okay. Because I've got like no video all of a sudden.
Oh, I'm here. I see
Um,
you.
okay, so I'll just go with it then, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, but yeah, so my dad was in the Marine Corps. Um, we grew up mostly in Southern California. We didn't move
Mm,
around a lot. We moved around a lot in Southern California.
mm.
But so yeah, I was a Southern California kid my whole life for the most part.
Well, like you mentioned, you
Um,
went into film school. Were you just always a big film kid? Like, were
I
movies
was
a big part
always
of your childhood?
a big comic nerd more
Okay.
than anything else. I always had the visual mindset. When I
Hmm.
would read comics, I would see them come to life in my head,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Much like my daughter gets to grow up seeing her superheroes live, you
Hmm.
know. Um, but yeah, I had to imagine all that.
Yeah, it's kind of
And
wild about what the kids get now. Like when I was a kid, if you would have told me I would get to see, Howard the Duck in a movie, even, or like the Groot or Galactus in an upcoming movie, or Thanos or any of that, I would have thought like that's insane. It'll never be in a movie, and now it's like the movies. Like that's the biggest thing, the biggest hit movies on the planet are all of our childhood kind of comics.
oh, exactly, exactly. And look, I was 4 when uh Star Wars Episode 4 came out. So I was
Hmm.
4. Saw it with my dad and drive-in. Blew my mind, like a lot of us, right? That got me. That was my gateway into comic books, actually.
Oh, really?
Uh, yeah, because I remember kindergarten, right? I'm 5 years old, and book fair comes, right? And I'm kindergarten, so like book fair. What is this? This is cool. And I don't know about you in Canada, but like here, they'd have like a 2 week period where this company called Scholastic would come and
Oh,
they'd
yeah.
have
Yep. We had
just
those.
tons of books, right,
Yep.
for sale for all different age groups. And they had the Marvel Comics Star Wars Treasury Edition, the oversized, 12 by
Oh, yeah.
17
Cool.
adaptation of the movie, which I had seen at 4. So I'm like, oh, heck yeah, I want this. And I'm a kindergarten. So the book was in like the fourth grader section.
Hmm.
So I couldn't get it. They wouldn't let me buy it.
Oh, really? Oh,
I'm
that's
like
unfortunate.
5 years old. I'm crushed. I'm like, why can't I buy this? So they go have your parent come, and if they say you can have it, we can sell it to you. And so I had to have my dad come with me to school the following week, literally walk with me to the classic book fair section of the school. I think it was in like the cafeteria or whatever. And he had literally sign a piece of paper that's saying I could have this freaking comic book. It's like, what? Like, even at 5, I'm like, this is a whole lot of work for a comic book, right? I'm like, what the
Yeah.
heck, man?
Well, it's wild that you could
But
go
I
watch
got
the
it.
movie. You know, the movie would have been fine for you to see without your dad, I think, right? I don't know. I don't know what the original rating for Star
Yeah,
Wars
that
was,
was
but
exactly right. I can
yeah.
see the movie, but I can't buy the comic book. What?
Yeah.
Um, Stupid rules, right? So yeah, I had that book for the longest time. I had that book till I was probably in my early 20s when
Wow.
I kind of sold it to somebody. But I ended up buying it again like 3 years ago. I found it somewhere. I bought one.
Nice.
Kind of a beater copy. It wasn't like mint or anything. But that book again, that treasure edition introduced me to comics. I ended up buying the regular size floppies for Marvel
Mm.
adaptation. And you know, I had the entire run of Star Wars for years, but I went from Star Wars comics to things like Shogun Warrior from Marvel, and
Nice.
then Spider Man, of course.
I don't
It's
think
like
Shogun
every little
Warrior
kid's
has ever
gateway.
come up before. I don't think
Oh,
anyone's ever mentioned Shogun Warrior before. I know we've talked about Micronauts a little bit, like ROM Space Knight. That's all kind of around that time period. But Shogun
yeah, oh
Warrior,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think that one has ever really come up. And I think that had a crossover with Godzilla when they're doing the Marvel Godzilla comics. I'm not
Yeah,
100%.
no.
Yeah,
So for me, it was giant robots, and
yeah,
I
that's
didn't
a
know what
cool
they were.
book.
I had no idea what Shogun Warrior was, but I saw a comic book before I ever saw a toy.
Yeah,
And so the comic was, oh, this is awesome. Giant robots. I'm in.
yeah,
And I was a Godzilla fan too as a kid. So giant monster, giant robot, it all works. It made sense in my brain. So I'm like, cool. Um, but yeah, and me speaking of Rom was my guy. I saw that toy first at a store called Best. Not Best Buy. It's a store
mm,
called Best in the late 70s, early 80s. That's gone now. And I wanted that toy so bad. But it was the equivalent. I think it was like $30 back then,
yeah. That's expensive.
which would have, yeah, that's super expensive. But oh man, it was and it is like the worst toy ever. You think about it, didn't do anything.
No,
It had like 4 points of articulation.
yeah,
It was sad,
it was just at the
but it had all the
shoulders and the leg
electronics and it was
joints. Yeah,
programmable and it was nuts. So when the comic came out, I was all in on the comic book. I was like, I have to this day, I have the entire run of that book.
nice. I
All
managed to get
25 issues.
I managed to get the Micronauts one. I eventually tracked down the issues I needed to finish the run, but it took me a while.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really
So I had a go ahead, I'm sorry.
no. I was gonna say it's really cool. Like I said, the fact that you were all in on ROM and Shogun Warriors, like there was that era of Marvel where they had all these licensed properties that they're making these things out of. Because like ROM was just like you said, like a four articulated little roll. It was basically a brick that you just kind of
Yeah,
bought, and,
exactly.
took home. And then the idea that like they spun this amazing story in this universe that like Marvel even comic fans in general still really hold in high regard even to this day is and like what Larry Hama was doing with the GI Joe comics and the Transformers comics and like all those insane sort of adaptation books that all had these really interesting deep broad histories that you didn't get from just playing with a toy, right? So
Right, exactly. It was just yeah, because I mean that era was so cool because you could get these cool toys like GI Joe or ROM or whatever, but
mhm.
then or Transformers, but the comics made them better.
Oh yeah.
They fleshed them out. The characters became characters, even more so than the cartoons. Cartoons were great, but they were commercials for toys. Where I think the comics gave you way more characterization and story, and because it's just cheaper,
Yeah.
obviously. And so you got more out of it. Same thing with Star Wars. You got so much more characterization out of the comic because for the most part there were 3 movies, episodes 4, 5, and 6. That's all you had. So the comic ran like 100+ issues, and you got more Luke, more Leia, more Han, more Chewie, more C-3PO, Darth Vader, everybody. And so, I mean, yeah, you kind of understand between the comics and then later the expanding universe of novels for Star Wars. You can see how the fans can get so engrossed
Mm.
in it. And then when they do these new movies, I can see how some fans could have a problem with some of those movies.
Yeah.
Well, Luke wouldn't do that, or Han wouldn't do that. I get all that. I mean, I don't subscribe to that theory. I mean, I was like George Lucas said a long time ago. He said it's not in the movies, it's not canon.
Yeah.
So for him, the books weren't canon either. So
Yeah.
I was like, cool, I'm with George. It's not in a movie, it's not canon.
But
So I
people
didn't care. I didn't
desperately
read a lot of
wanted
the
it.
extended universe stuff. What's that?
People desperately wanted it to be like, the people that love those
Oh
books,
yeah,
they would like staunchly defend them, especially when Marvel bought them, and then they said, well, all those books aren't canon anymore. Not that they really were before. All those old comics aren't really either. And it's like, sure. I mean, the thing is, they still exist. If you love them, great, enjoy them. But like, people have this weird line where it's got like all stories are kind of made up and all continuities are kind of what you want them to be in your head. So the idea that you're like,
yep,
well, I want my Chewie to have been crushed by a moon saving Han's son from weird force sensitive or force resistant aliens. Like if that's what you want, great, it's there. Go read those books. Um,
exactly.
but like anything, it's writers writing them, so they get weird. They're very disjointed. Some create these elaborate backstories for like the history of the Jedi, which none of which matters anymore. But as a kid, when all you had was that expanded universe, like before they even made the new trilogy, where you just had the first four,
Exactly.
that was their three, that was it. And the Star Wars Holiday Special, we could find a tape trader that had it. That's all you got, right? So like you're like, well, here you're
Yep.
right, it's more of the stuff I love. So, but now with like all these multimedia empires conglomerating, it's like all the comics can be in continuity now because they're all owned by the same company, so they can all keep track of it all and keep it together. But it's still,
Exactly.
yeah,
But I always tell fans who have no filmmaking experience, I tell them, Disney or whoever is not going to spend $100+ million adapting an already existing book. They're
yeah,
not gonna do it.
yeah. They don't
It's
want to pay
there.
the
That
person that wrote it either, right? So,
exactly.
yeah,
That's royalties. That could be millions of dollars in royalties to that writer, and they're not gonna do that. So they're gonna
no,
create some new stuff. And it doesn't mean the studio likes those books like you do. You can
yeah,
love the whatever book you're talking about. Studio could be like, this book sucks. I don't care. I mean, that's just who they are. And look, there's a hierarchy in entertainment.
yeah,
Filmmakers don't give a rat's behind about TV makers. TV makers don't care about comic books,
hmm,
or animation.
yeah,
Animation people rarely care about comic books. Like there's a hierarchy to it, and it's kind of lame. But like you run into enough people who do those different jobs, you hear them complain about it's an adaptation of some comic book, or that's why everything's called a graphic novel now, because
mm,
somehow that sounds better than comic book,
trying to elevate it.
or more
Yeah,
legit, more worthy of film adaptation. Like
yeah.
whatever,
I
it's all
talked.
comic books.
I talked to a guy one time, and I think I told the story. Well, obviously, everybody's heard that episode that listens to this. They would have heard it before, but just I always find it really funny is that he had a friend that worked on the X-Files comic book. So, like,
Okay,
they're doing an X-Files comic based on the show. And he got fired from the book because there's a rule that when you do an adaptation of live action characters, you can't draw them to look like the actors because then you have to pay the
yeah,
likeness rights. So
exactly,
you can do Mulder and Scully, but they have to look kind of like them, but not exactly like them because they look exactly like them. So he drew a version of them that wasn't exactly like them. But then Gillian Anderson's camp didn't like it because the not Scully version of Scully that he was drawing wasn't attractive enough. They thought to Gillian Anderson's liking. So like it's such a dumb reason. It's like you can't look like her, but it also has to look like her, but be pretty enough to make her happy, but not exactly like her because then they'll have to pay money to them, and it's just so ridiculous.
exactly.
It's
Yeah, yeah,
wild.
yeah. I mean, literally, if I made I made an IP that turned into a movie, I would just in the contracts, I'd be like, we own your likeness.
Yeah.
So I could do it somewhere else with the actual likeness. I would pay them, of course.
Yeah, well, in
I care about
context to this
talent.
character, or whatever that you're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just wild. I find it so interesting because like we're all kind of in the same boat as fans of these things that like we want more of it, but it's but not just rehashing the same thing all the time either, which is what a lot of them just tend to do. But yeah, no, it's a wild sort of world. All those
And that's
adaptations.
my only issue with Star Wars. Like I look at Star Wars today. I'm 52 years old. I was
Mhm.
there at the beginning, right? Star Wars is like, or the different Star Wars media, whether it's TV shows, films, comics. It's all like I look at Star Wars as a restaurant. Each new thing is like a new meal. I like some of it. I don't like other parts of it.
Yeah,
But I don't get mad at it. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, cool. Like the Alkalite, good idea. Not a great show.
yeah,
I didn't hate it. I'm not hating on anybody who made it. I don't care they made it. It's
yeah,
cool. I want more Star Wars.
yeah,
Whether it's comics, TV shows, films, give me more. I'm not going to be mad if something's not great, or at least great to me.
yeah,
Like my daughter absolutely loves the prequels.
yeah.
Loves them.
Yep,
Those are for her
yep,
because she was little when those came out, right?
yeah,
Or actually, they came out before she was even born. She's almost 18,
yeah,
but those were the newest things to her
hmm,
when she was little.
yeah,
And so she's seen the sequel, 7, 8, 9, and she likes those too. She don't love them, but she likes them.
Hmm. That's
My
the right
daughter,
attitude. That's the adult attitude to have with this stuff. Like if it's not
exactly.
for you, move on. Don't ruin it for someone else. Just don't go watch it. That's fine. You don't need to
Let
go
someone else
online
have it.
and write a tirade about it. Just don't go to it. And it's fine. Like you can
Yeah,
just not see the thing.
and full disclosure, when the prequels came out, I was they ruined my childhood
Oh
guy.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
that guy.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had to grow out of that. I did. I was that guy. But I grew out of it. I realized, once you go through film school and doing all that stuff, I realized, I think just growing up, I realized, oh, guess what? This is not mine. I don't own it.
Hmm.
I'm a fan.
Mhm.
I consume the thing,
Yeah.
right? I give my money. I go see a movie. I watch it. It's in here. It is what it is. It's not mine.
Well, the people
I
that
could
think,
it could have been better, but
yeah, well, that's the difference.
well,
Like
it's done. It's out there.
people think they own it, and it's
They
also
do.
like, as a writer yourself, you must understand that like there are say it is an IP like that. There's a billion voices, like millions of voices out there that all have in their head the version they want it to be. And like somehow
Exactly.
the writer needs to mind read millions of people's internal movies they've already filmed in their heads and make the product the exact same as that to appease each one of them and then make them happy. It's like just go into it and enjoy the thing for what it is because it's never going to be the perfect movie you've already built in your head. It's never going to happen.
Nope.
So you're going to just be
No,
disappointed.
again, you have millions, if not billions, of fans of something. It's impossible to placate everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 9 was the perfect example of let's make the fans happy,
Yeah.
and it was not good.
No. It's almost like trying to
You
course
can't make the
correct
fans
midway through
happy.
it.
You try to make them happy, they get mad because it's not as good as they want it to be. If you just do your own thing, they're mad because it's not as good as they want it to be. So they're gonna be mad regardless. Just do your thing. Like
Yeah.
the biggest problem with the newest trilogy for Star Wars was there was no plan. That's
Yeah.
my ultimate gripe as a creator. They had zero plan for those 3 movies.
Yeah.
They kind of made it up as they went the entire way, and it's not how you spend billions of dollars. I don't understand why they did that. But
Yeah, I'd like to see I think Abrams, like I really like the first one and I actually really like the second one, but I can understand why people don't
oh, me
like it.
too. Love the second
Yeah,
one.
I can totally understand why people don't like it. I liked it, but I liked it for the
I
reasons.
understand the choices
Yes.
in the second one, and there are great choices.
Yeah.
They would have been better if they paid off in the third movie, but they didn't. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay. But
That's
yeah,
what I mean.
I
Yeah.
love Abrams too. I
Yeah.
would have hired Abrams to do all 3 of them.
Yeah, that's what they should have done.
That's what they should have done.
Yeah, and then instead of being like, oh no, we brought in this sort of guy who's known for being disruptive and making things that go against type, and then when he makes something that's disruptive and goes against type, they're like, oh no, fans don't like this, or some fans don't like this. A lot of them didn't, but it's like I don't know, like,
If you watch the second movie, it's Empire Strikes Back.
yeah, pretty much.
It gets darker, and the bad guys seem to win, and it's if anything, all three, well, the two directors for the three movies, they followed the plan from 4, 5, and 6 almost directly.
Yeah.
Right? Like I hear fans, 99.9% male fans, oh, Rey's too powerful, Rey didn't earn it, blah blah blah.
Oh, shut
Did
up.
Luke Skywalker earn anything?
Shut up. He's a whiny teenager on a planet that became like,
Thank you.
Yeah,
he gets dragged off into space. He trains for like 2 minutes on screen anyway, and then goes and
all he does is
fights
complain
Darth Vader
the entire time. Like he's just like,
right?
why do I got to do this? Why do I got to do that? Why shouldn't I be over there doing this? And Yoda's just like, chill out. Like it's just all he does is complain.
And he loses.
Yeah.
Luke loses to Darth Vader, gets his hand cut off, gets saved by his friends, and then the Emperor almost kills him, and his dad has to save him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Luke's awesome. No, Luke was lame. But Luke's awesome in the books.
Yeah, they certainly make him much cooler in the books.
Right, but as far as film goes, the only canon that exists, as far as George was concerned, Luke's kind of a little punk.
Yeah. Well, I used to always sort of make jokes about like, people that didn't like the Boba Fett show, which I did, but I was like, they're like, well, Boba Fett wouldn't do that. He's not like that. He wouldn't do that. I'm like, what do you know from the movies about Boba Fett? Like two things. He's Jango Fett's clone, and he pointed a gun in Empire Strikes Back, and then he got sucked into the Sarlacc at the end of the third one. That's literally like he's a bounty hunter. That's all you know. Everything that you built up about how cool and badass he is all from the books, none of which are what they want, or were George Lucas's idea. So he just looks cool, and then you've built this awesome, and I thought they made him a human character with faults that,
yeah,
does his thing, and they basically made Lawrence of Arabia in Star Wars, which is kind of fun. Like I was like, that's cool. I'll take that. Why not? So
exactly.
yeah, it was great. I dug it. I don't know why people just. Yeah.
I kind of wanted Boba Fett to be more aligned with like Andor.
Yeah. Well, it seemed more
tonally.
Yeah.
More serious and like kind of like a Clint Eastwood movie in space. I wanted that.
Yeah, and they kind of gave us a bit of that.
More serious.
Yeah, they kind of gave us
a bit of it. Yeah.
But I mean, if they wanted just a badass bounty hunter Mandalorian, we already have that show. It's called The Mandalorian. It's going on right now. Like,
right?
Like
that's the show. That should have been Boba Fett.
Yeah,
that should have been Boba Fett.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. But I really do dig that show. It's just funny that they didn't like.
Oh yeah.
It seems like it would have been a no-brainer to just have made that Boba Fett. But
right.
Anyway.
My thing with
yep.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
My thing with Mandalorian, I love the show. I love like the whole the last season with all the Mandalorians was kind of cool, but like the show quickly became a like the whole show was a side quest. It seemed like the idea was I had to take this kid to a Jedi. So each episode was like, I go to this planet. That person is like, I can help you, but I need to do this thing first. Okay, that he helps somebody do something. Then that person goes, okay, now take the kid to this planet over there. And rinse and repeat for a whole like second season. I was like, where are we going?
Yeah.
That got a little bit exhausting, but again, I mean, the last season was kind of cool though. So I'm like, okay, I love Bo-Katan. I love Katie Sackhoff who plays Bo-Katan. So I'm like, more Bo-Katan, please. Like, I'm good. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, it seems like I still haven't caught up on all of it. I finished The Mandalorian, so I get through Ashoka and the Acolyte and the new season of Andor. So, but yeah, I really dig Andor. I just feel like I don't know if I need my Star Wars to be so, like as morally complex as that show makes it to be. I get that it's like
I don't know,
I get
as
the
a
show
grown-up,
fascism. I don't know if like when they're like, oh, this guy knows too much, we have to kill him, and it's like you're the good guys. So like you're supposed to be the good guys in the Star Wars world. And you're like, well, this guy just knows too much. He didn't do anything wrong, but we still have to murder him. And I'm just like, I know they decide not to do that, but it's like it seems very much like common practice that they do that. In fact, even show them sort of abandon people early on that get caught because they have to dissolve all knowledge of them to protect themselves.
But that's the beauty of the show, in that it is, I want to say morally dubious, but it's realistic.
Yeah.
If you are a small group of insurrectionists, really,
Yeah.
you know, things get dirty and dark.
Yeah.
Like you can't overthrow an empire without doing some morally bankrupt stuff.
I guess I just never looked to Star Wars for that before, so it just seems so strange to have this like super adult conversation in the middle of this kind of goofy, not goofy, but like this sort of fun space fantasy adventure. I do really dig the show. I think it's great, but it's just it's always kind of funny when they just sort of skin something in a way that's like, well, this is just this now, but like I always make jokes about like the Archie TV show that was on Netflix, Riverdale or whatever, where it was like super dark, like people getting murdered and going to jail and sleeping like with their teachers, and it's like just Archie characters. It just seems so out of place. It's so funny to me.
That was like one of my daughter's favorite shows when it was on. I mean, she really does. I couldn't get into it. I was never an Archie guy though, Archie comics or anything else. So
I don't think you would have to be an Archie fan to like that show. It's a very
but like it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the general public was just like, this is a cool, weird show about teenagers. Yeah. Where, a comic fan who knows Archie were like, I don't get it. But like my daughter, not a comic fan for Archie at all. Yeah. So she just watched it for the drama of it all.
Oh, it was good for that. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. So they totally dug it. But see, as someone who's like older now, I like adult.
Yeah.
Adult Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It can't always be for kids. I'm not a kid no more. So like,
well, that's it. I guess it's evolving with the audience, right? So,
right, exactly. Yeah. And I'm not saying you can't have like it shouldn't all be like I don't want all Star Wars to be adult, but like I specifically think the sequel trilogy was Disney trying to grow out of the Star Wars saga.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was fine with that because I wanted that too. I wanted new characters, new stories, new adventures. Like, you only hang on to these 3 or 4 characters for so long. Like, let's move on, man. Like, let's Star Wars grow up, people. A
new threat, instead of the Empire or a new skinned Empire. I know the first. I did like the first one because I liked what they did with the idea that, like, and the way I described it with people was saying that, okay, if like the Empire were Nazis, which I'm guessing, which they were kind of skinned as, then the New Order are like neo-Nazis. So they're the people that are like, well, this happened before, and we want that again. And and even like Kylo Ren sort of emulating Darth Vader, even though he doesn't need to breathe the doesn't need the mask, still wearing it because it's almost like a weird like neo-Nazi fandom, alt-right fandom kind of thing. And it's sort of like to me, maybe that much thought didn't go into the designing, but the idea to me is that's what I read into it. I was like, that kind of makes sense. We have that now. We have the fucking Tiki Torch people or whatever. Like there are idiots out there that want that back because they're ignorant and don't understand what that truly means. Exactly. And that's kind of what they're doing, And even the Star Killer is basically them saying, "Oh, well, they had the Death Star, so we got to do that, but make it better." And then made that. So it's like it's still kind of like, even though they are still kind of copying what came before, they're doing it in an interesting way to me, in a way that makes sense, because people do, unfortunately, emulate some of history's greatest monsters and want them back because they think it's a simpler or easier answer than actually just getting along with people who are trying to work together. And the fact that happened was like, I dug that. I thought it was neat. And like, even killing off Han Solo, I was cool with all that. I was like, this shows that they're not safe, whatever.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, anyway, I guess we can just.
Disney's. This has been in the media, but Disney said to Abrams, make a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Because the fans were like, episodes 1, 2, and 3 are not Star Wars movies. They didn't look or feel like Star Wars. So Disney's like, we want a Star Wars looking and feeling movie, which is why it's so much like episode 4.
Yeah. It makes sense.
They're trying to bring everybody back recenter Star Wars as this sci-fi fantasy thing, but I think JJ did it in a way that made it interesting and new again.
Yeah.
I the only problem I have with the first episode 7 was the new Star Killer base thing. I was like, really, another
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
okay, but
I know.
all right, fine.
Yeah.
I'll roll with it.
Yeah.
It didn't take me out of the movie, but I was like, again, okay. But whatever. Then the second one, I think, redeemed themselves by going a different way,
Mm.
and doing something cool. But again, a lot like Empire Strikes Back. I love the idea of Snoke just being a guy,
Yeah.
right? Just being a dictator, and he got his ass handed to him by Kylo. I'm
Well,
like, awesome.
and then undoing that later by saying he's some weird puppet of Emperor Palpatine is just it's so
Right?
disjointed and dumb. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's
So
like not everybody
why would Palpatine clone himself as an old man again?
and not everybody yeah, exactly. And not everybody
What?
needs to be yeah, like there's like Ray's dad being some failed clone that was a young version of him that got away, and it's like why didn't he just like why does he not have a young body now? But the idea that like all that stuff like everything needs to be connected, everybody needs to be connected to something,
Yeah,
like Snoke needs to be Darth Plagueis, like Finn needs to be Lando Calrissian's like nephew, like
right.
oh my god, my brain, the main girl
That would have
doesn't
been all worse.
yeah, the main girl needs to be like Obi-Wan's secret daughter or niece or something, like
Yeah,
or Qui-Gon Jinn's secret daughter or something, like everything's
or
connected.
Luke's secret daughter.
Yeah, like
Like,
everything
oh
doesn't need to
my
be
God.
connected. Like, Luke, well, I guess Luke was in fact the son of somebody important. But like the idea like Han Solo was really not nobody. Like just
I
get more of that. Like even I actually really dug his solo movie. I thought that was a good movie too.
exactly.
Yeah, it was a fun
That's a
space
fun
western. That's what I
movie,
wanted.
man.
Yeah, it was good. More of that. That's what I'd like. But anyway, well, it seems
Exactly.
like we're getting it in bits
Exactly.
and pieces. Well, what did as a comic fan and someone that emulated comics, why film school? Like why what was the connection there?
So okay, so um, as a kid growing up, again, huge comic fan.
Hmm.
My thing was as a kid, I wanted to grow up and I wanted to own a comic store or work in comics. So
Hmm.
I either wanted to draw comics or own a comic shop.
Hmm.
I know comic shops existed until I was like seventh grade, and I was like, comic shops, a comic full of comics. Oh my, a shop full of comics. Oh my god! So that was kind of cool. But much like Star Wars was like as a
Hmm.
kid, Pulp Fiction
Uh,
came out. I was like 21, I think 22. I was like, oh, this is awesome. That got me into a whole different genre of film. Like
mm,
Pulp Fiction made me love movies. I decided after watching Pulp Fiction, I wanted to do that. I want to make
mm,
movies. I want to be like this. This is cool. Um, it hit me on just so many levels of storytelling and dialogue and just visual. And it's a very simple movie. I'm sure you've seen it,
oh yeah,
but it just hit me hard. Hit me different. And
it's a
so
very
I was
cool
like, I want
movie.
to do this. I want to do this. And so I didn't go to film school until I was like 27.
Hmm.
I was working in a comic shop for 2 years. I was assistant manager of a comic shop from 97 to 99. And during that 2 year period working in a comic shop, I decided I'm going to film school. I'm going to Los Angeles and I'm going to film school and just get off my butt and learn to do it because I wanted to do it. It was just, I went from comic book nerd to still a lifelong comic fan, but like to a big movie fan and like realize and learning the story of Tarantino and how he came up. He didn't go to film school. He wasn't a rich kid. Like
Hmm.
he was the everybody. He was the movie fan who just decided I'm gonna go do this and did it.
Yeah, like he
I'm
worked
like, well,
in
I
a
can do that
video
too.
store. He did like most of his like teenage, early adulthood. Him and his friend that also worked in the
Exactly.
store wrote the script to Pulp Fiction. Like,
So it took the stigma off of the idea of making movies, which all seemed like a big glamorous thing. It's like, oh no, it's normal folks. This is a job. You can
mhm.
do this too. So I was like, all right, cool. Started researching different schools. I knew LA would be the place to go because Hollywood's in Los Angeles. And again, I'm not unfamiliar with LA because my parents grew up there. So as kids, we were constantly going back and forth for holidays to grandparents or whatever's homes in LA. So it wasn't completely foreign to me to go to LA. And I got a nice little deal. My grandfather at the time, who has since passed, he owned apartment complexes in Los Angeles, multiple apartment complexes. So I was able to move into a complex in LA, not close to school, but like a 40-minute bus ride to school. I got to live there for free for the first school year I was there.
Wow.
It was a fantastic deal. So
That's a
I
great
did
deal.
nothing but school for the first calendar school year from like 99 to 2000. I was just working at school. I didn't have a job. My parents would help me with groceries or whatever, but then I would just have like 5 or 6 classes. Well, 5 classes the first 2 semesters of school. I was just nothing but school.
Wow.
And most of that was film classes. I had taken some math or English classes because the plan was to get a transferable degree and go to like USC.
Mm-hmm.
And literally the first year of school, I'm like, wow, USC is really, really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna go there. I'm just gonna get my my non-transferable degree and start working in film. Because I had buddies I met again in school who, after the first year, left school and started working in the film industry doing like grip work, which all that behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
And I didn't want to do that, but I was like, I saw them do it, and they rose up real quick to do other stuff. So I'm like, okay. But then my second year of school, I met my wife, my now wife, and things changed.
Yeah. So then you guys start building a life,
married
right?
in 2002. Yeah. So I had a whole different life trajectory going, which I don't regret at all. I've made one film on my own, or my wife's help actually. We made one feature film in the early or late 2009 or so. I didn't finish it until 2015 though. And I love doing it. I love making film. I would love to do it still, but I have too many health problems. I've got a kid. Like I got adult duties now that I can't just go off and make movies.
Yeah. What's the movie? I'm really curious. I'd like to check this out.
It hasn't even released yet. That's the crazy part.
Oh, really?
No, because like again, I shot it in 2009 over like a year period, and then it didn't get completely edited until like 2015 or 16. And now I'm worried about it being too old looking.
No, yeah.
So I'm constructing I have ideas on how to create some new footage to modernize the movie and then put it out. So I am talking to some filmmaker friends about that.
Cool.
Excuse me. And so hopefully by early next year, I'll have it out.
Oh, awesome.
It's a fun movie. So real quick backstory on that. So my father passed away in 2008 after a long battle with cancer, and he left my siblings and I money. I had an inheritance. I dropped that entire inheritance on the film. Like my dad was sick. We had long conversations, and I knew I was getting money when he passed. He was terminal, so I knew he was going to pass. And he's like, don't piss this money away. She said, do something to remember me by. This is all I have to give you.
Yeah.
And
oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and I go, okay, I'm gonna make my first movie. And he was like, are you serious? He's like, because he's a big movie fan as well.
Yeah.
And he's like, those cost a lot of money, right? I go, not much you think. It's okay. Yeah. I'm not gonna do Star Wars. It's not gonna be Star Wars, but I'll do something. Yeah. And so I would go down to his house every weekend and visit with him and talk to him. And I was writing a story in between visits with my dad, and I would tell him the story. So like, he never saw the movie, obviously, but he knew what it was gonna be.
Hmm.
I would give him like, okay, so first 30 minutes, this happens, blah 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 blah, and then next week I come back with the new pages. Okay, now this happens, blah 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 blah. So over like a month period, you have to hear like the oral history,
No, that's
the
cool.
oral version of the movie. And it's a character driven piece, obviously. It's no special effects or anything. It's a dramedy.
Hmm.
So it's comedy drama mixed
Yeah.
together. Uh, so the cool part is he got to hear it.
Hmm.
He never saw it, but he got to hear it.
No,
So he knew what it was gonna be. I had
awesome.
to share that with him. That was awesome. And after he passed, we got the money like a year later. And so I had a script, hit the ground running, cast a movie locally, shot it locally, all over LA area, out here in Gardena. It took me a year to the day. We shot 16 days over a year period to get it done.
Hmm.
The editing process was a beast, though. I ran through like 3 different editors, a whole lot of money.
Oh yeah, editors are
Um,
People don't realize how
yeah,
important they
and
are.
so
Like
no,
editors
yeah,
don't. Yeah, they make the movie. Like the director's there calling the shots, but they're the one that cobbles it together. Makes it like everything you like about the movie and the way it flows is because of the editor. So like,
oh yeah. And
unless
I had planned on editing my movie,
yeah,
and I bought a new computer, a new PC just for editing, but then that PC was not compatible with the PC editing software of the day,
yeah,
and I was told, oh, you need to use what's it called, Final Cut.
Final Cut,
All
yeah,
right, cool. I got a copy
yeah,
of Final Cut from somebody. I traded somebody I traded like a very expensive watch to
hmm.
somebody through Craigslist for Final Cut software of the day before realizing,
It's
oh
Mac.
wait, this is a Mac
Yeah,
software.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't buy a Mac.
yeah,
Instead of wasting $2,000 on a Mac, I just hired an editor.
yeah,
But it cost me way more than $2,000 all said and done. But whatever. Live and you learn, right?
yeah, for sure.
It's funny. The guy I got to edit my movie was actually editing adult films.
No.
As a day job, was editing adult films, but he
I can't.
wanted to get into regular movie editing, so he edited my movie on the super cheap just to get the experience. He was phenomenal. I learned so much stuff from him. I was
Really?
like, I would have never done it correctly.
Wow.
This guy who was editing porn basically showed me how to edit movies. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
I like
So
that. I think you have like a movie idea just in itself there. It's like, because
I know, right? The making of,
the
yeah,
guy editing the porn, like he probably like I assume he had aspirations about, as you mentioned, about being like a real film editor. Not saying that editing adult films isn't real work, but like I'm sure it's not, I'm sure the options, the angles, all the stuff you have to choose from are pretty limited. Like obviously
yeah.
there's a very singular reason why an adult film exists. With
And
the movie, there's a lot more nuance, right? So that's really
yeah,
funny.
exactly.
That's
And we
hilarious.
would edit at his house. So I go to his house in the city of Northridge. It was like an hour and a half away from where I live.
Mm,
So I drive out there with the hard drive with the footage on it, and I'd walk in there, and he had his editing bay was in his kitchen of his apartment.
hmm.
So like the little kitchenette area, which is the editing bay. I'd walk in, his wife be on the couch watching regular TV. I'd walk in the house, his wife's watching TV. In the corner over here, you hear all these sex noises, and he's editing porn
Yeah.
in the corner, and you can hear it out loud. And I was just like, this is so surreal. His wife's sitting there, not even tripping. She's like, whatever, dude, watching, like I don't know, like soccer sporting events because they're Europeans,
Uh,
and so he's watching soccer. He's over here just click 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 on porn, and I turn a corner and I'm like, and the porn he was editing, just make your eyes go what?
yeah.
I walk around the corner like, whoa, I didn't want to see all that. Oh, damn, okay. Let me know you're done with that. Hello, what? He's
Yeah, we
like,
got
what?
this
This is
the
porn.
film. Well, it's a
It's
very
so
European
hilarious.
attitude, They seem to have
Yeah, totally,
a
totally.
much less
Yeah,
puritanical look at sex than North Americans tend to have,
exactly.
which is
I'm
funny.
not, I'm not, I'm not porn shaming, but yeah,
Oh yeah, no. but it's
he
not.
was editing some stuff I'd never seen before. I was
Yeah,
like,
I assume he's pretty desensitized at that point. Like you're just like it's what it is. What it is. That's
yeah.
pretty funny. That's hilarious. Wow. Well, when did you get to actually do some comics then? Like if going from the movie to
So
the comic run?
in 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 okay, so when I was around 16, I was already like I'd already focused. I've always been an artist,
Hmm.
but I'd already started focusing my art on sequential art,
Hmm.
i.e., comics. At 16, there was I had a subscription to a comic book like magazine newspaper thing called shoot. I don't know. Are you familiar with Peter David, the
Oh
writer?
yes, 100% just passed away.
So he had a a column called "But I Digress"
Oh yes, yeah,
in a comic book newspaper. I just called Comic Review or something like that in the 80s.
yep,
So I was reading. I had a subscription to that, and it was like the Wizard of its time. Before Wizard, they had this newspaper type magazine, and I had a subscription, and it had a classified section where artists and writers would try and hook up together. Like writer looking for artists, artists looking
yeah,
for. I answered an ad in there for someone looking for artists to collaborate with on a anthology. And so, kind of find out, this person was also a 16-year-old kid who was a writer, want to make his first comic. Here I am, 16-year-old kid, want to draw. So we hit it off immediately through the mail. This is like in the 80s.
oh yeah.
So excuse me,
Letter
no
writing, old
computers. So it
school.
was all like back and forth letters in the mail. And we got together and made a book called Pro Folio.
Yeah, I was going
And
to ask you about that. I came across that and I was looking you up, and I was like, this is because there's kind of a big gap between that work and then your later work. So I was
yeah,
like,
so
yeah, that's interesting.
I did Pro Folio, which was volume one, issue one. I did the cover and the lead story, a 10-page story about a shape shifting alien. It's like a Batman kind of character, but like a shape shifting alien Batman.
Hmm.
And then I worked with the same guy on two other books, all short stories, covers, pinups. Then yeah, there's a big gap from like say 89 all the way to between 89 and 98. I had drawn. I did samples for AC Comics or Americomics.
Hmm.
They do a book called FemForce. That's their
Oh yeah,
claim to fame
yep.
is to this day. It was a book I loved as a kid. It's basically a superhero team, all women. And they're drawn like sexily. It wasn't like today's like overly sexualized women,
Hmm.
but it was like campy, fun, tongue in cheek, sexy type superhero book.
Hmm.
And so I love that book. So I did samples for them. Heard nothing back for like 6 months. At one point, it was like 1990 or so. I did like a 6-page sample. A year later, almost, they get back to me. Hey, we like this. Can you flesh it out to a whole story, and we'll pay you to draw it. So I got to write and draw a whole one shot, like
Wow.
24-page story. The funny part was though, the 6 pages I had drawn that I sent to them, I got rid of. Because as a
Oh,
kid, I didn't have a whole lot of money buying pages, right? I had no
yeah.
job in middle school, right? So I would draw pages, photocopy them, and then erase the pages
Oh
to reuse the
wow.
paper.
Wow. Okay.
So
Wow.
I had erased all 6 of these pages.
Oh no.
I had the copies,
Yeah.
but they were like, oh, well, we can't do anything with those. We need all new pages now. So I had to redraw the first 6 pages and then draw the like 7 through 24. And again, no editorial ideas, nothing. It's like, hey, we're done with it. Send it to us. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Like, so
That's insane.
I pulled a story out of my behind and wrote it and sent it in. Like 3 months later, they sent me a check. Book never came out.
Yeah, well, at least
I
you got
guess they
paid.
weren't fond of the the finished artwork or whatever, it was just like, okay, here's a check, thanks, and that was it. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay.
That's shitty.
And at the time, they paid me like $20 a page, so that was like times 24 pages. So I was like, as a kid, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm rich. Yeah. I'm in a comic shop as a baller. I'm just like, buy that comic and that comic. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good experience. I wish I'd had some kind of editorial.
Well, at least direction, but to just say, well, this is what we want, and then be done with it. That's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in 98, I started working in a comic shop called Comics Plus in Victorville, California. And this is, of course, during like the image boom and everything. So like so many independent comics and just, it was so much fun. And I was reading a lot of comics from a publisher called the Antarctic Press. They did a book called Warrior Nun Ariella.
Oh, yes.
At the time, they're big books.
Yes, I talked to Ben Dunn on the show before, the creator of that book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ben's awesome. I love Ben. To this day, I love Ben still.
He was very cool. So, great conversation.
I pitched I actually drew the first issue of a 3-issue miniseries, sent them the script and photocopies of all the pages, and they snatched it up on site. It was called Creature. And it was basically a reimagination of the character I had created for Profolio. The same character, just modernized. Like the 90s version of that same character. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, cool. And I'm working at the shop. I'm making this comic, which is kind of neat because like the customer's like, you're making comics? I'm like, yeah. Like they're like, okay, cool. I was kind of like a little celebrity at the comic shop for a little while. So I make the book. First issue, I sent it to them. They're inking and coloring it. I'm working on the second one. For some reason, they decided to put the first book out before I'm done with the second issue.
Oh.
I'm like, that don't make any sense. Like, there's going to be a big gap between issues, guys. But what?
Yeah.
They did it anyway. First issue solicited. While I'm finishing issue 2, just pencils alone, they're like, hey, so book's not selling real good. How about we cancel it for now, have you draw some of our books, build up your profile. We'll do the book later. But they wouldn't give me a date of when later, just like later, some other time. I'm like, no, we have a contract. I want to do this book. I'll happily draw whatever you want I would love to draw Warrior Nun or whatever else.
Yeah.
After we get this done. That's about my thing. Like, I'm working on this already. We have a contract. Let's just do this. They're like, fine. First issue sales come up. I'm wrapping up issue 2. I'm like on the last like 2 pages. They're like, okay, so by the way, we're canceling your book with issue 2, so wrap it up. I'm like, I pitched you a 3-issue miniseries. I'm writing a 3-issue miniseries. How am I going to wrap it up when I'm done? We're on the last 2 pages.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing 3 to wrap it up.
Wow.
Like, all right, cool, whatever. And so I just finished my last 2 pages as planned and give it to them. They're like, you didn't wrap it up. I'm like, you're not publishing 3 anyway, so who cares?
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah. So they put out issue 1 in 1998 to the end, and then issue 2 comes out like halfway through or near the end of 99. I'm just like, you guys are killing me.
Yeah, wow.
And on top of that, okay, so first issue, there are again, it's about like an alien-esque Batman type character, and there are 2 female characters that are like subplot characters that are kind of funny. They're meant to be humor in a otherwise serious action comic. One's African American, one's Caucasian. They color them the exact opposite.
Oh.
They color the black girl white, the white girl black. I'm like, are you seriously kidding me, guys? And of course, they colored it, lettered everything, and then just printed it. I never saw a proof or anything.
Wow.
So they just did what they wanted to do.
They didn't give a shit.
Put the book out. I didn't see the finished book, until the copies my comic shop owner bought came into the store. So I
Wow.
get this. He handed it to me. I'm all excited to open it up. I'm looking through it. And I'm like, what the actual bleep? I'm like, no. What? I was so mad. I get on the phone. I'm talking to editor. I'm like, what the F? Like, what the hell, guys? Like, really?
Wow.
I gave them a color sheet. Like, I hand colored, like, reference for them
Yeah.
on all the characters. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're killing me here. They're like, oh, our bad. I'm like, yeah, you're bad. Like, what the hell, man? I was so upset. But the comic shop I worked at, the owner ordered like 300 copies, so I was just like selling tons of this stuff. We sold out of the book, 300 copies because I was the creator of the book, so I could pitch it. Like, oh yeah, I did that book right there. Oh really? The random customer just grabbed the book because I did it. That was an
Yeah.
awesome feeling.
Well, that's good. I mean, at
That was
least you
really
get
cool.
that vibe there. That's wow. That's crazy,
And
but not unheard of. Like I've
so when
heard a
the
lot of
second,
stories from similar people with like how editorial really fucked them on their book. So
oh
that's
yeah,
good.
yeah. And editorial has not been done. Like Ben Dunn didn't do me wrong. It was the
Oh
editor
yeah, yeah.
did me wrong. But then the second issue comes out. They told me ahead of time before they solicited. Oh, by the way, issue 2 gonna be black and white. I'm like, what? Like,
Wow.
you're killing me, guys. Really? Like, you can't put the second issue of a 3-issue book out in color. You're not gonna pay for issue 3, so why not do the second one in color? You don't think the retailers are gonna be pissed at that? But they're like, they didn't care. And they're like, if you want issue 2 to come out at all, it's gonna be black and white. So
Wow.
luckily, my inker was real good with this product called Zipatone. It was like a product that back in the '90s, before computers were coloring stuff, if you wanted different shadows and gradients in your
Mhm.
work, there was these sheets of like cellophane you could put over a book, and that the sheets had different patterns on them. You saw
Okay.
this a lot in independent comics, like black and white comics that didn't have any color. They would use these different shaded grades, tonal grades of gray and
Yeah.
patterns on the pages.
Yeah.
So the inker did this all over the book and made a black and white book look way better than it could have
Mm.
otherwise.
Wow.
Um,
That's cool.
he actually made my black character black using light gray tones to give
Yeah.
her the color of the skin. And I was like,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Nice.
So issue 2 is just way better than issue 1 because of that. Um, but that was like the last thing I had done comic wise. Because again, 1999, I shifted. Okay, 1999, I went to my last for a long time. My last San Diego Comic Con,
Mhm.
which is now called Comic Con International. I had gone to 13 Comic Con straight up
No.
until 1999, and
Wow.
I would go every single year with samples of my artwork for different publics, for Marvel, for DC.
Hmm.
Later on in the late 90s, Image, I'll go to Image booths looking for work. Um, and that 1999 year was funny because I had samples with some Cyberforce and Wildcats characters.
Yeah.
I loved Cyberforce. The Jim Lee stuff was my bag, right?
Yeah.
But I took my samples. Back in the day, you would have like photocopies, and you'd have like packages. You'd bring packages like a backpack or whatever. Each package had photocopies of your work with your name, phone number, address on every page, right? And I had taken my little 6-page samples to oh Rob Liefeld's publishing company, Extreme, yeah, Extreme
Hmm.
Studios. And the young artists there loved my work. They're like, "Oh my, this is so cool! Oh my god, Rob's got to see this." I'm like, "Cool, where's Rob?" I'm like, "Oh, he's not here right now." They're like, "Give us 2 packages, and we'll set you up an interview with Rob tomorrow." They're like, "Come back tomorrow at like 4 o'clock, or whatever it was." I'm like, "Are you serious?" Like, "Yeah, we'll make sure he gets it. He'll know you're coming." I was super excited. Like, cool. I read some of his the extreme stuff, but I wasn't a huge fan of Rob Liefeld's. But like, I read his stuff. It was cool and different. The next day, I'm walking in there. I'm all excited to meet Rob Liefeld. I get there like a little early. Giant throng of kids around the table. Rob's there. Yeah. So there's like 15 kids from like 6 to like 15, like just all like Rob's a god, whatever. And I'm like, cool, whatever. And so one of the artists was like, hey, Rob, that's the guy Don Walker wants you to talk to. And like Rob's like, hey, come on over. And so I walk into the front of the table, still throng of kids all around us, right? Looking through my work. I will never forget this interaction. I swear to God. So he's looking at my stuff. He likes it. Yeah. He's giving me all kinds of props for what I did. Now the main character in the samples was Velocity, the speedster from Cyberforce. Right. She's running and she's being chased by villains, whatever. And I had drawn her. Admittedly, I drew her probably a little too sinewy, a little too muscular. Yeah. She's a speedster, right? And all the runners I've seen in real life are lanky and thin and so I had little or no body fat on this girl, and I had drawn her maybe a little too older looking than she really is. And Rob's thing was Rob's looking through it. He's loving what I'm doing. He loves my storytelling. He loves my art style. He loves what I'm doing. He goes, but Velocity. There are too many lines on her face. She looks too old. And this is what he told me in front of all these children, mind you. He goes, "It's not hot enough, bro. You want to draw her so hot, the fans want to fuck her." And I was all excited. I looked at him like,
that sounds like something I'd expect Rob Liefeld to say.
Right in front of all these kids, because there's kids here.
Yeah,
I'm an adult. Yeah. So fine, you tied me at 5, but those little kids want to fuck them. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, So he's like, hey,
make her more fuckable, and then come back. Yeah.
No, it's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Redo these with what I told you, and bring them back tomorrow. And I had the pages with me, the actual art with me. So I literally went to my hotel that night, tweaked them the way he wanted them to, made her more sexy. Mm-hmm. I even bought some of their stuff to like, okay, what's sexy to Rob? Okay, sure, okay, I'll do that. And brought him back the next day. He wasn't there. Handed them off to the same guys I handed them off to the day before, and they never heard anything back.
No.
But at that same show, those same samples got me a tryout script from Marvel.
Oh, wow.
I got to the Marvel booth. They had separate booths for looking at samples, reviews of people's work. And I got a sample script, but it was a sample script of a Deadpool, Daredevil one shot.
Okay.
Drawn by Ed McGuinness.
Oh, wow.
Which I had at home.
Yep.
And I was like, I didn't realize it until I got the script home. I'm like, oh crap, I have this book here.
Yeah.
In my comic collection. So I was desperately trying to find a way to draw it and not draw it like Ed McGuinness. Because he's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't want to copy what he was doing. And so I'm like halfway through a 6-page sample when I realized I don't want to draw this. I just had I'm in my living room studio set up, and it's funny, on my living room wall. So my living room had a couch, an entertainment center. And the other side of the room was my studio setup, my drawing table, stereo. And I have movie posters all over my walls at this time already, right? And there's no comic posters, all movie stuff. I'm trying to draw these pages. I'm looking at all those movie posters. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather be making movies. I want to do this up here.
Yeah.
I don't want to draw comics anymore. Like, and part of it was like I'd gone probably 6 years of just beating my head against the wall trying to get jobs at Marvel, DC, Image. and it wasn't happening, and film was taking over
Yeah.
my sensibilities and my want to do was becoming more film, and I never finished those samples for Marvel. I just stopped,
Wow.
and I immediately switched to film, and and again, this is 99, so I've been out of high school for like 8 years. But my senior year of high school, my school got some kind of deal where some company came outside company came to our high school and built a sound stage at my high school
Wow.
for television production. We
Yeah.
had a TV studio production soundstage at my high school,
Jesus
and I was
Christ.
part of the first students in this class, this audio video class. So I learned TV production, directing, shooting, writing
Hmm.
at high school, my senior high school. So again, that kind of when the light switch for film came on, I had a little bit of experience with some
Yeah.
of this, and so I contacted my school. The instructor I learned from was still there, and I was like, "Look, I'm trying to go to film school. I need to like figure some shit out and like create a reel for myself." So he helped me, with some cameras from school. Me and a buddy who wanted to be in film also. I knew from the comic shop. I wrote and we shot like a little 4 minute short film.
Hmm.
I edited it with a linear editing machine
Oh, wow.
at my high school,
Wow. That's cool.
which was hard. Like people don't understand how hard that is compared to now, where you have non-linear editing machines.
Oh, yeah.
Linear editing is a beast because if you mess up once, the whole thing's jacked up.
Oh, yeah.
But so I did that. Me and my buddy tried to get an AFI, which is an amazing school out here in LA.
Hmm.
But AFI, like American Film Institute,
Hmm.
AFI,
Oh, I'm
they
familiar.
are,
I'm a big movie person. I'm familiar. I'm very familiar.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they, I didn't realize they were more of the school you go to if you're already in film business.
Yeah.
If you're doing film already but want to learn something new, you can go to AFI and learn it.
Yeah.
They'll teach you. You don't get to go in there off the street, basically. So I didn't get into there. But then I did more research online. I found the Los Angeles City college, junior college film program, full of people, all kinds of cool credits. I'm like, oh, I can do that. That's cheaper than USC because I knew USC was expensive, but I didn't realize how expensive until later. But again, that was a university. I wasn't gonna get into there. I didn't want to necessarily go to college to
Hmm.
do all the other stuff. I wanted to,
Yep.
learn film because you weren't learning film in Victorville, California. So I go to LA City College, have a blast. Like I said, meet my wife. That all changes. I do the one film. Um, I tried filmmaking for quite a few years. I've written a bunch of stuff, um, but film is a business that it's who you know, not what you know.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
just
yeah.
is. You hear
100%.
that all the time. It's very nepo baby filled. It's very
And
transactional.
yeah. And
So if you
they like
don't
to put people in
have
boxes too. You need to, if you make something that's popular, that's all you do. You're like, you make a horror movie, you're a horror movie guy now. Like that's it. So,
exactly,
yeah.
but even getting the money to do anything,
Oh, yeah.
you have to know people,
Yeah.
or you have to have something of value that they can make money off of. Your ideas aren't enough. Like you have to have something going on for yourself to get money.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the days
and
of like,
I know guys who produce movies right now who are not giving money because I have
yeah.
no credits, I have no star power.
Mm.
Like, and I'm not worth their time apparently. Even though I'm friends with them, I'm not worth their time because I have nothing to offer other than scripts.
Yeah.
From an technically unproduced, creator.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I realized, man, not gonna do anything I want to do in this business. I'm not selling my soul either. Basically, like
Mhm.
there are a lot of people in Hollywood are just, for lack of a better term, terrible people
Mhm.
that I don't want to associate with. I don't want to. I don't want to
Hollywood?
become those people.
No. The Dream Factory? No. Of course not. Everyone has everybody
Yeah.
else's best interest in mind, for sure.
What did Obi-Wan call it?
Hive scum and villainy.
Yes, exactly. That's Hollywood, boy.
Yeah.
That is Hollywood.
I like
Even
movies.
the indie set,
Yeah.
even the indie set's full of those people. And I'm like, I'm not gonna, do anything. Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything with anybody that I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. So, again, when I met my wife, changed to having a wife and a family and working regular jobs, but I always loved comics, and so while I was in film school, I didn't really mess with comics.
Mm-hmm.
I had the money. I was making films and stuff for film school. That cost money too. So
Yeah.
there was no budget for comics. So once I started doing normal jobs again, I was back to reading comics, and I have a bunch of ideas, and so I started developing those ideas. I have a buddy who was a firefighter who wanted to do a comic, and we've been friends for a long time. And he wants to draw comics. He needed a motivation to become a comic creator.
Mm-hmm.
He knew I did some comics in the past. He's like, hey, let's you and I work on a comic together. And I'm like, to help him, I'm like, cool, let's do something.
Yeah.
And
that's sweet.
He's always been very flaky. I love the guy. He's one of my best friends in the world, like a brother to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's flaky as hell.
Mm-hmm.
So we developed a flip book idea where I would do a story that my story would stop but lead into his story.
I had friends that did a version of that. I developed the entire
freaking story using one of his characters he created, and I started doing mine. I'm literally drawing mine. He's like hemming and hawing and not getting his done. And I finished mine. He hadn't done his at all.
No.
And I'm like, okay, look, I'm just go off and make my own book then. When you're ready with yours, we'll work something out, and I'll do something else to go with your story.
Yeah.
So that was my Agent Wild book, which is a modern day sci-fi. It's like and Agent Wild was also a re-envisioned character I had done a short story for in Profolio Volume 3.
Oh wow!
I did a 22-page short story in this really a 64-page anthology issue. I did a 22-page story for this character called Wild, just Wild at the time. And she's like a female kind of Daredevil-esque character, street level character, no superpowers, just fighting skills and moxie basically. I brushed that idea off with this for this flip book idea. And so I'm drawing this character and reinvented her for this one shot. I was working on that, and then before I finished it, I got in a gig with I don't know if you've ever heard of Digital Webbing.
No.
They are a website / publisher. A guy named Ed Dukeshire is a publisher. He's also a letterer of tons of comics in the industry. He works for everybody, Marvel, DC, Image. He's worked for everybody and continued to work with them. At the time, in the late 90s, early 2000s, he had a website called Digital Webbing. And it was just like a independent comic creator hub, right? Where you could go meet other people. They had art challenges. And at one point, they created a whole anthology called Digital Webbing. And I was part of that. I was part of the site, not the comic. But they got the license to a comic called BloodRayne, or a video game called BloodRayne.
Based on the video game, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so they were making comics based on BloodRayne. The same time their really crappy movies were coming out, by Uwe Boll and all that.
Uwe Boll, yeah.
And at one point they wanted me to do a one shot for BloodRayne. So I stopped doing my Agent Wild comic to work on BloodRayne. And then when I'm waiting for the script of a one shot, mind you, it took forever for this one shot to get written. And my wife ended up getting pregnant, so we're having a kid now. And I'm waiting. I'm like, guys, where's the script? And they don't know if my wife's pregnant or anything. I was waiting for a script. So then it becomes a 2-issue miniseries, waiting for a script. Then it becomes a 3-issue miniseries. I'm like, cool, give me a script, please. Let's do this. And by the time I get a script, my wife's like 8 months pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm starting to draw pages, and they're awesome. They still hold up to this day. I love these pages. I didn't care about the character so much. I liked her visually. She's a fun character to draw visually.
Yeah.
And then I started learning how you have to deal with, licensors, because I would draw something and the licensor would come back, no, that's not how she looks. Do it this way, blah, blah, blah. I had to redraw certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that real quick. But I'm like 8 pages into issue 1, and I started talking to Ed Dukeshire, the publisher, about my wife's gonna be due soon and blah blah. I'm super excited, yada yada. And then him and the writer decide, oh wait, you're gonna have a kid? You're gonna have any time to draw this book. We need to let you go. I'm like, excuse me, like I can do 2 things at once. Hello, like
still have a job.
yeah,
still
whatever.
Have a job to feed
I
the
want to
kid.
draw this book.
Yeah.
I'm already freaking drawing it. Why are you gonna stop now? And they're like, no. You're gonna put us behind. We have a schedule, blah blah blah. I'm like, you don't forget, y'all took a year and a half to give me a script.
Mm-hmm.
You gave me this job a long time ago, and me and the publisher had it out. We had all kinds of very terse email exchanges, but I burned that bridge. I nuked it from space. Let's put it that way. I was livid because I was having fun. I was kicking ass drawing this book, and so I started working on the Agent Wild book. But then, wife gives birth to our daughter, and they're right. I did not have time to draw anything for like 6 months.
Yeah.
But my wife she had a C-section, so she was like laid up in bed for 2 months. It was me and the baby for 2 months by ourselves, pretty much, and me taking care of my wife. And it was just like I just had to sit there and eat crow. I was like, oh man, he was right.
Yeah.
I haven't drawn anything in months. I had to email, hey Ed, yeah, the baby's here, and you're right. I was a jerk. My bad. I'm sorry for being a dick. Call me names and everything. So we were good after that. We were fine. But they were right. I didn't draw anything for like 6 months, like literally. And it was funny in hindsight, but I was mad at the time. But so I eventually ended up drawing covers for the book. I did like 3 wraparound covers for the miniseries, which was kind of cool. So I got a little bit of the taste of drawing. BloodRayne got published. And then that was it for a while. I was working on Agent Wild. Didn't know how to publish it. Didn't know how to find a printer or anything, but still wanted to do it. Now, my local comic shop out here where we live is called the Comic Bug. They have shops in Manhattan Beach, California, Culver City, California, for the California fans watching. Amazing shop, and they used to have a Saturday meetup where the manager of the store, he was kind of plugged into the local comic scene, and so he would bring in guests from the comic book industry on Saturdays, like once or twice a month, and the back of the store would be a bunch of chairs, there were tables, and the person he's interviewing would come there and hang out, and we could sit there and listen to this person's life story or whatever. And he had comic creators, filmmakers, animators, toy executives, like all the pop culture cool stuff. People from all these industries to come talk to us fans, and there'd be a lot of comic creators like myself, or would-be creators like myself, who'll come to these meetups, and we started talking and started meeting up separately away from the comic shop at like Starbucks shops and whatnot, hang out, talk comics, talk to the industry. We're all wanting to be in the industry. A couple guys were artists like myself, others were colorists or writers, and so we formed a group. We called ourselves the Sketchy Bug Group, and we ended up the same manager of the comic shop, the Comic Bug, eventually was like, hey, y'all want to meet up as a group at the comic shop? We got space for you back here where we do the Saturday events. Come over here and do it. Have your meetings here. So that was cool. The owner of the store was like, yeah, it's a good idea. So on Wednesdays, we would go to the comic shop. They set up tables and chairs for us. We go back there, hang out, draw, write, just talk about comics, and pop culture stuff. It was so much fun. We did that for I started in 2012. 2012, we started doing that at the comic shop, and we've been a group ever since.
Oh, wow.
The Sketchbook group still exists to this day.
That's awesome.
We still meet there every Wednesday from like 4 p.m. to like 9 p.m. We had a break during COVID, obviously. We couldn't meet anywhere in public. And so joining the group in 2012 helped me learn all the ins and outs of making comics to where I was able to, I discovered Kickstarter, learn how to do that through people who are doing Kickstarter already by asking questions. And, Ed Dukeshire was my letterer for that book.
Nice.
And he had published stuff already. So he helped me find a printer and, how to talk to the printer. Ed Dukeshire has lettered all my books. He's lettered everything I've done so far because he's awesome. And, and that was kind of the beginning of me making my own stuff from like, I think it's 2015 or 16 when it came out, I believe. And so I've been doing stuff little by little ever since. It was Agent Wild, Zero. I did a book called Reaper Corps. Later in 2019, 2020, we did Agent Wild #1. It was like a remastered of Zero. I called it the Criterion version of issue 0 because it was like I redid some artwork, added pages, re-scripted it, made a better script.
Director's commentary too, I hope.
Issue 2. Huh?
Director's commentary too, I hope.
I asked for the Kickstarter. I did an audio commentary track you could download.
That's awesome. That's a great idea.
You can read the book and listen to me talk about that book the whole time.
That's a great idea.
I did that for that and Reaper Corps 0. I did a commentary track for both those books. That was super fun. So Reaper Corps 2019. During COVID, we did the Sketchbook group did a anthology called Danger Arcade. I was like the lead editor of that. Not really editor, lead coordinator. I don't really edit anything. I just kind of like wrangle the cats that are the creators.
Well, that's a big part of editing
so during
too.
COVID, we were all sitting around doing nothing. I was like, let's make a comic book. And so we did that. I debuted a character called Dreadlock the Barbarian in that anthology. I had so much fun writing and drawing that character that I created a one-shot afterwards that I published on my own called Dreadlock the Barbarian, issue 0. That was a blast. I've written the miniseries. I haven't started drawing it yet, but I wrote the miniseries. It's all done. I'm gonna sit there and draw it now. I recently tried to do a reprint of Reaper Corps on Kickstarter. That did not work out. My Kickstarter page was really rushed and not good. So yeah,
it's amazing how important that stuff is, right?
It is.
The level of like I've talked to enough people that have done projects on Kickstarter, some that have had success, in the main majors, some that only really do stuff in Kickstarter. And it's Kickstarter comics seem to do well, but you have to definitely basically have become a marketing team, one person marketing team to get in there and do and offer all the cool stuff and stay on top of it all. There's a lot of work involved.
Yeah, and my problem was my campaign page looks in hindsight. I had a different YouTube show recently, unbeknownst to me, did a video on various Kickstarter pages, and they reviewed my page. And one of my Facebook friends sent me the link to it. I was like, oh, what's up with this? And they didn't rip me a new one, but like there are problems on the page, and they're all valid issues that I didn't see when I did it. I was like, oh man, he's right. Oh man. I was like, I felt like an idiot. I'm like, oh geez.
Well, you took the right lesson away from it.
I didn't market the book for new readers. I marketed the book. People already read the book.
Yeah.
Thinking I get the same people coming back or something. Like people understand if you do multiple books, The
Yeah.
fans of Agent Wild don't necessarily care about Reaper Core. The Dreadlock fans also don't care about Reaper Core.
Yeah.
So you have to make people care about the different books
Mm-hmm.
in a different way. You will not get. I learned this from Eric Larson from Savage Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
If you're fans of him on Facebook, you'll hear him say this a lot. He's constantly asked by fans at shows, "We're gonna draw Spider-Man again." He's like, "I haven't drawn Spider-Man in like 30 years." Like, what? I draw Savage Dragon. That's my book. Go read that. They're like, well, we don't care about that. We care about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We're gonna draw
Okay.
Spider-Man again. And he only like when he does commissions at shows, it's literally 9% Spider-Man or Venom.
Yeah.
No one wants Savage Dragon drawings. They want Spider-Man or Venom. Or some other Marvel or DC character. But it's mostly Marvel characters, mostly Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He goes, you cannot take your fans from Marvel or DC with you to your independent creator-owned thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make something cool and find those new readers. And I had forgotten about that when I did that Kickstarter campaign because I didn't do it right. So that's on a back burner for now. I have another anthology in the works that I'm putting together solo from my group.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's called First. So cool. First plural, like, and the idea is the anthology. There's 20 stories right now so far. That's how I'm doing it. There's 20 stories. We're gonna be like 260 pages, and as the hook for the book is all of the stories and characters in the book will be their first appearance in print.
Oh, nice. Good idea.
The whole book's one giant key issue for 20 characters.
That's super cool. Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. So I have a story in that. I'm writing and drawing, and then there's 19 more from various independent, really cool creators. I've got experienced creators, new creators. We've got sci-fi, action, fantasy, crime, horror, slice of life, like superhero. We got all the genres covered.
Beautiful.
Like literally, like at least 6 or 7 genres covered in this one anthology. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So we're working on that. The plan is to kickstart it in August, but we'll see if that works. Yeah, I want it done first before we kickstart it.
Yeah,
that's the key.
That's
right?
key. Then you're not. Yeah, then you can't. You will deliver something, which is the most important part.
Yeah, right? It's ready to go. Now we're talk of possibly co-oping the production of the book, meaning we all just get together, pull our own money together, and just print it. For like 4,000 copies.
Yep.
And then we kickstart it with those 4,000 copies in mind. That way it's absolutely done, ready to ship when the Kickstarter ends.
Yep.
And we could ask for less money that way as well.
Yeah.
Via Kickstarter. The money we ask for is going to cover the printing, the shipping materials and shipping costs of the books we already have sitting here. So that's on the table. I don't have consensus yet on that with the creators, so we'll see. But one of my creators said, "Hey, why don't we just do this?" I was like, "That's a good idea." But we'll see. Well, we're working it out.
That's wonderful. Sounds like a very cool, like collaborative thing, which is always nice in comics to be able to have people to lean on to work with and to sort of validate each other. So,
oh yeah,
yeah, it's beautiful.
If you can put together a team of people who actually want to do the work, anthologies are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Danger Arcade was not a lot of fun because it was during COVID, and a lot of our creators kind of fell out and in and out constantly.
Yeah. Well,
so it's like a very short, like 100-page anthology. But because I'm very much a go-getter. Like if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to like wrangle me and ask me, "Hey, are you working?" Yeah, I'm working on it. Leave me alone. I'll get to you when I'm done. I'm the sit down and do it type.
Yeah.
Like lately I've been doing a lot of writing lately. More writing than drawing, but I'm a go-getter, and I can't stand when folks backslide or hem and haw or take forever to do things. And I get it. People have lives. I understand that.
Yeah.
Most of my comic friends aren't professionals. They got day jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
I get that. But if you're going to commit to something, do it.
Yeah, you're right.
That's all. So I ask. You say
100%.
yeah, then do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't say yeah to anything. I was like, I'm going to do it. But
You'd be amazed how hard it is
my
for some people
personality.
to keep that promise. It's just to get someone to finish something. It's like creative types are generally pretty flaky, or at least don't necessarily subscribe to the daily like things that most people do to get things done. So the fact that you can get like a dependable group around you is very, very key.
Creativity and ability are different things. Yeah.
Well, yeah, creativity and like organization.
Work ethic.
Usually
Work
those two
ethic
don't
is a
go
whole
super
different
well together.
story.
Yes, that is true. Well, I don't take any more of your time, Don. This is great. Thank you so much for being in the show. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
So keep an eye out for those books, and please share it with me when you have them out there, and I'll definitely be happy to share it on my stuff as well.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. There you have it, my chat with Don Walker. A great conversation. We get into some cool places and some surprising stories about his history and his relation to the film industry and his relation with comics, coming back to it, getting away from it, coming back to it, all that wonderful stuff. So, hope you enjoyed it. I really, really dug talking to Don. I'm glad to have him on the show and look forward to getting a chance to catch up with his work down the line. So, you should check it out. Some of his stuff is available on Amazon Kindle, so you can grab some of his other books. And he also has those Kickstarters out there, so check that out too. All right, as I mentioned, it was a long episode, a little longer than usual. I thought about making 2 episodes, but it's not quite that long enough that we can just do an extended regular episode, which we did. So I will not talk too long about my life or what's going on in the main world at the moment, because, you got stuff to do, places to be. If you're in my part of the world, the weather's getting nice, you probably want to get outside and enjoy it. If you're listening to this while you're at the gym or driving or one of those things, then, you might have another podcast you want to listen to after it, so get on that too. So I will catch you back here in 1 week's time with another episode. Not sure who that guest is yet. We will let you know on the socials. In the meantime, stay safe, have fun, read some comics, sit under a tree and read a book, read anything. Frolic in the sun. That's your biggest agenda item, to frolic in the sun. The Graphic Histories Podcast is a proud partner of the United Federation of Podcasts.